The Editor-in-Chief is live in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome folks. Welcome to the programme. It's December the 2nd. You're with the Editor-in-Chief and we are live.
Duncan Garner, live.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Duncan Garner. Welcome. Leave us a message. All the details there on the screen. Tonight, the CEO of Global Women, Agnes Naera, it's her job to work with all the big New Zealand companies to get women's representation up on boards, on the executive, to close the pay gap and to see more diversity in the workplace and, of course, right across those higher levels. So how do these companies do it? How do you retire out old decades of white old men running the show? And what does that look like? Who are the best New Zealand companies doing it well? Who are our most progressive leaders? Who's resisting? Can we get that out of her? And how does Agnes bend the ear and the elbow of these bosses to do this? I'm sure it's not easy at times. Also, how many lighthouses does New Zealand have? I'm asking you to guess. Please, let's go.
Duncan Garner, live.
I'll tell you all about it shortly, about the lighthouses. It's not a fascination of mine, but someone else who's sent me the information. Okay, Agnes Naera heads up Global Women New Zealand, and I've seen what they do. It's no nonsense. It's down to earth, and they get on with them. They get on with the mahi, actually. But one of the goals is to increase the number of women sitting across the board, sitting across the executive team, the 40-40-20 rule, I think. What is it, and how do we rate or rank, and does it mean better performances at all levels, and what does the experience tell us? Tēnā koe, Agnes. Nice to see you. Welcome.
Tēnā koe, Duncan. And I don't know how many lighthouses, but I'll have a look.
Have a guess. Just have a quick guess. How many you reckon? For a big country, lots of water.
Let's say 35.
Well, you're close. You are so close. You're within 10. That's what I'll say.
Can't wait.
Hey, so if people say, I wonder what Agnes does, what is it you do?
Look, I think we should at least start from the beginning. So, look, about a month ago, we celebrated 15 years of Global Women, which in this not-for-profit sector, I think is pretty phenomenal. And it started really 15 years ago, and it was a safe space for women who were first, the first Prime Minister and all of those things. Yes. They needed a safe space to be themselves and to think about who they were, and I suppose to have a conversation that wasn't being had where they were. Yes,
what the conversation goes like, how many women are on the board, how many are at the executive level? Because the answer 15, 20 years ago was
nobody.
Well, not many.
Not many.
If any. Yeah, boards were terrible, weren't they?
They were, but so were, I can't imagine what it was to be the first female Prime Minister of the country, sitting in a room full of, I don't know if you know, but when I spoke to people like Helen Clark, way back when, there was a marriage bar. So if a woman was married, she couldn't be an MP.
Yes.
Like, that must have been a tough gig.
Yeah.
Going in them. You think about people like Dame Marilyn Waring. She was not only fighting for gender, but she was fighting way back then for pay parity for women.
I know, and they were such outliers in governments of sort of dark rooms, white men, and smoke. Sort of smoke. But they were doing the wage deals in those smoky rooms, the ministers and things, and Ruth Richardson too.
Yes, and Ruth Richardson. And
Jenny Shipley.
Yep, and then I think about people like Dame Sylvia Cartwright, and she talked about, when she became a lawyer, the fact that there was no restrooms or toilets for women, and they had to walk down the road, and that went on for nearly 5 years. And you kind of look back and think, how was that possible? But it was.
Paid parental leave only was debated in 1999. I was there. I was a young journalist, and Lila Hari was good on her too, pushing the pram down a Lambton Quay.
Yeah. But same as the abortion thing. I mean, it was only in 2020, and we only kind of got the right for women to make decisions about their own body by about 2 votes. And you kind of think,
I know.
How is that possible?
What right do we, as a man, it's just not my business.
No.
Yeah, it's your body.
Yeah.
I've always freaked out at that sort of one. I've always wondered why, especially in that sort of Bible Belt America, why they're so keen to have women beholden to them and their decisions.
Holding to them, I know. It's just some of those kind of decisions, and yes, there was white men in that room, and so it's taken us. It's been nearly 150 years since we've had the vote for women, so it's not something easy that we can turn on the dial. Sure, there needs to be a change in leadership in organisations and whoever makes influence, but we also need to advocate and get those people there to champion the same check.
So where are we at then? We have some New Zealand companies who are really outliers and doing really well, aren't they?
Yeah. And
should we name them? The ones that are doing really well?
We could. But I don't think, again, I think one of the things for Global Women and for me as a chief executive, this is not about naming and shaming.
No, I was trying to name and impress.
Oh, yeah. Okay. But it was more about, because everyone starts at a different place.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I still remember Mike Fuge when he first did there for Contact Energy, and the pay gap was something like 49%. But the good thing for him was there was a starting place.
It's pretty bad though, isn't it?
It is, but if you don't measure, it doesn't really matter what the gap is. If you're not measuring it, then you're not going to make any difference.
Yeah, if you don't know what the starting point is, it's like today the government says that 8,000 people have joined the unemployment queue in the last 3 months. At least they're measuring it.
That's right.
Previous ones didn't, you see, so at least we know.
That's right. So I think in terms of those that we should credit that have championed real changes because they're intentional leaders, they've been measuring, and then they not only measure, but they start to look at where the levers of change are. Is it about promotion? Is it because, so remembering that we do under the 40-40-20, 40% women, 40% men, 20% others.
Yeah.
We
What's
also,
others?
Well, it can be men or women, because remembering, particularly at a board level, when you're talking about 8 or 9,
right, okay.
there's got to be
mix it
some
up.
shift.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no one would complete anything. And remembering that the two lenses that we look through is participation.
Yes.
So participation gap is somebody like a Fletcher where, 28 or 30% of their workforce are wahine. So that's a different challenge than a power cap where you have a look at someone like ANZ, and they're at about 60-something% are women.
Yes.
So
At the executive level?
No, the full workforce.
Oh, wow.
So if you've got a bigger workforce, what should the representation look like?
Yeah.
And then for people like Fletcher and Kiwi Rail, it's about bringing more women in to already very male-dominated,
Well,
very not
tough industry jobs, aren't they? They're sort of either construction or rail or transportation and that sort of thing. We wouldn't have probably been in the back office.
Well, yeah, but you've got to have a bigger talent pool to draw from. They've got such a small talent pool that's going to make it tricky.
I heard Peter Crisp talk from New Zealand Trade Enterprise, right? Yeah, he's impressive, and he's gone out there and he's probably done. He's one of the best, I think, in the country.
Yeah, he is.
He's your sort of flag bearer in many ways, because he basically said, well, we've just gone out there and we've actively sought women to do these jobs. Yeah. So they've had to be really conscious about it. Yeah. If you're not conscious, it doesn't happen.
No. Oh, no.
Because before that he said, I was appointing white sporty guys like me. He said it, and good on him too.
Did.
I like his honesty.
I think a really good example is Fletcher. So there's a house out in Point Chev, in Hobsonville Point, and everyone from the project manager to the engineer to the electrician are all wahine.
Ah.
Now, what Fletcher would have, because they would have had to draw them from across the country. I'm not sure if they brought in an international talent, but that's a big gig. That's intentionality.
They've done this on purpose. They've designed it.
They've designed it.
And what have they found,
Well, because what they wanted to show is that in that industry, everything's possible and women can do it.
Of course.
And it's a great story. The other example...
They do it quicker under budget, probably.
Well, here's a good story about under budget and thing, is they realised that one of the better paid jobs in Fletcher is driving the concrete trucks.
Oh, yeah.
So it was all men. So they set up a program for women to drive it. Ross Taylor, the chief executive at the time, would say they were under budget. They dropped the cost of maintaining those trucks because women just look after it and do it differently.
Yeah, probably a bit less rougher on it.
Yeah, but so those are really strong examples of what intention looks like.
Yeah,
and
which is what Peter Crisp is doing too.
Yeah,
right?
Same thing.
Yeah.
They kind of think.
So he's searching for good women to replace.
Yeah, but they're searching in their organisations what's a couple of levers. One, to set up role models for other women. Because that's really important, because we know that if you can see yourself there, then you're more likely to kind of aspire to be there. Yes. And that's been true for Māori and Pacifica. Whatever we do, if you don't have some role models that look like you, they're still going to...
How do you aspire to get there?
That's right.
And that's why it's so crucial. In a lot of our sports, it's like, it's why our sports people, people really look to them because they might be of Māori, or they might be Pacific Island, whatever, So... and what sort of results are they getting? So if they do bring women in to do that 40-40 thing, is it working? And do they get better performance? What's the overall?
Well, we would say, like if you have a look at, so Spark was the first to have a chief executive wahine and a chair wahine, and you have a look at the success of that organisation. Albeit there's some difficult times for them now, but in terms of their commitment to both women in leadership, Māori and Pacifica in their workforce, it's been incredible, and that's been at the change of.
And you've got enough men in the room talking about this?
There is enough. Well, most of the chief executives are still men. You know, the majority of them are.
But why?
Well, I suppose.
Do you regard yourself as succeeding if that's still the case?
There's still, look, I think allyship, it's a bit like, if we had the conversation about Māori and non-Māori, we have to do it together.
Yeah.
There's not enough
like
of
attitude.
us to do that. And like I said, I feel really privileged to sit alongside some really great men.
Yeah.
And I still remember...
I like your attitude. It's about embracing and working together. Because like if we do this apart, in all things in this country, this is a message for all things, we're stuffed.
Yeah. And although our kaupapa is about wahine, I have a son, as you do.
Yeah.
And so we need to make sure that they feel included and they bring their leadership to the table.
How do you include them?
happens.
How do you include men when you are replacing men?
I think just keeping them in the conversation, because women are getting appointed based on merit, not because they're a wahine. So as long as they're in the but that's the important thing, that they are part of the conversation.
Well, some men may have been appointed and not competent enough. I mean, I don't know, but if you're going to keep appointing men because you've always done it, then you may not be appointing the right person.
Yeah. But look, there will be men in organisations. Look, a good example is my brother-in-law. He's a white man, and he kind of goes, well, are our days done? And they're not done. The roles and responsibilities...
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet, but...
I can give you a date. It's fast coming. I feel it's fast coming.
But I think it's like anything. The role or the responsibilities they might take up will not necessarily be the same as what they've had. But again, we will always see in leadership both genders.
You just have to. The workplace has to be, well, I believe it has to be not just women and men, but also you have cultural diversity as well. Because what's the point of having 100 Māori on the factory floor but no one up higher?
Well, that's
what it says is, you stay down there.
That's right.
It's patronising.
So we do need to that. And that's where, if you look at NZTE and other organisations, they've done that really well. They get that you've got to have someone that people can aspire to. Or, alternatively, you need to have non-Māori or non-Pacifica that really do understand them.
Did you come across many of those people?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
But I'll talk about a more lived reality for me, and that is the way that Teresa and I work.
Yeah.
Although Teresa and I might look really different, we share the same values. We share the same aspiration for this country.
Yeah.
For Dame Teresa Gatting.
Yes, yeah. But also I've seen you work with, you've got Pākehā men on the stage there, and, they're some of they're your confidants in many ways, aren't they? And they're your pick, these people, aren't they? I mean, you regard them highly. Yeah,
but again, I think we share... They wake up every day wanting a better Aotearoa New Zealand. I have no doubt about that. And again, I think the thing that I work really hard at trying to do, they are all smart people. I have no doubt about that. The thing that we need to do is bring people's hearts to the table.
Yeah. How do you get Māori up the chain?
Oh, look, same thing, intentionality that people can see. What's been interesting probably for my board is that some of the relational skills that I have, just from being Māori and all of the things that we do, are now starting to be recognised as better than the hard skills.
Yeah.
Because you can teach someone technical skills. You can't teach people how to manaaki. You can't teach people how to do some of the things that are inherently
even the mihi, or or just something, and it's so powerful coming from a non-Māori.
That's right.
You really sort of sits you on your ass and go, whoa, that's impressive. Yeah, but that's who we are.
Yeah, and again, I don't need to harp, but Dame Teresa, she does. It can't be comfortable for non-Māori who are best at in the game having to learn new things. So I commend non-Māori that give it a go in terms of whether it's on mihi. You got to.
Yeah, and you'd see that at I see Jason Paris. He's part of your group there too, One New Zealand, and he's impressive, and he's just found his he's Ngāi Tahu.
He's Ngāi Tahu. So, and he's just gone on the Ngāi Tahu holding. So that's another journey for him.
It's amazing.
I mean, Jodie King, who came from Air New Zealand's on his leadership team, and she's Ngāi Tahu, and too has a similar.
How hard has it been getting to the point that we are at now? So, a number of companies can proudly say they've done really well. How hard has it been?
Oh, if I think, we did this 7-year trend report, it's
Yeah.
taken 7 years for those 6, organisations to get there. Because again, remembering that conditions change. COVID would have flipped some data around gender, the economic, in your own industry, what might have been the data that was true,
It's
5
changed
months
in
ago,
1 year.
it's gone.
Exactly. And it is like that too. What is it that has held women back from holding those top positions? Childbirth and being a mother has had to have had an impact along the way.
Oh, look, that's been a part of it, but we're seeing really, great parental leave. The champions, we've just put one out. You look at what KPM are doing, they go over and above. So we're addressing that, and we can address that.
Yeah. But the best companies are doing
Yes.
above and beyond what the government
That's right.
does, is it right?
But also encouraging, and Matt Pritchard's good to talk about this. He was the first chief executive to take parental leave and he was the CE or the leading partner for KPMG.
Yes.
So again, the other thing is making sure that we make space for tāne or for fathers to also
You have to
take that leave.
Yeah. Because some fathers might say, well, you're earning the bigger bucks, so she wants to go back to work, and I'm happy to do the baby.
Yeah,
So we've got to stop thinking that we have those traditional roles,
that's right.
because and arguably today's society is so different now.
It is.
Mum used to stay home. Now mum may go to work.
Yeah, and there's all, the same, we see that there, but we also see the way that we work, there's more about whether it's a full-time role, but you're not working 5 days or you're not working 40 hours.
You're not in the office.
No.
So they don't want me here.
No.
They've made that clear. But
I'm sure they love you, Duncan,
yeah,
but yes.
I don't know. But so roles of, the old days of 8 hours in the office, we only do 3 hours work and 8 hours anyway when you're in office. You talk too much, not you, but you'd end up talking too much around the water cooler and things. I'm not sure how efficient that is anymore. What does the next 15 years look like? So you've got those companies there, your champions, and they're doing really well. How do you get those sort of mid-sized companies that we don't even know about?
Look, I think given that the talent shortage, where people are going to look for companies that are good employers and that do all that they can. So the idea about, am I being paid enough? Do I get enough leave? I think those questions, whether not just from the generations, but anybody making choices about, if I'm going to have to spend this amount of time, even generations like mine, it's still like, do I want to still do that? Who do I want to do that with?
Young workers now are saying, well, who am I working for? Is it a good cause? Do they meet my needs?
That's right.
And back in our day, it was like, well, if we have a job, we're lucky.
Yeah.
But it's changed a bit, right?
Yeah. So I think, we need to find some middle grounds, because I must admit, I did some interviews a little while ago with some of the younger ones, and
I know what you're going to say. They all wanted to start on 100 grand.
And a bit more, and they all want to just work from home, and they really only want to do maybe 3 or 4 days a week.
So I've had a number of recruiters come on the program, recruitment agencies, Australasian, both sides, and they've said the same thing as you. It's astonishingly forward and confident. And they want to buy a house like their parents have got. Well, their parents have worked 40 years for that.
Yeah.
So it's expectations as well, isn't it? How do you temper that?
Oh, look, I think, if you take them into your organisation, you need to be really clear about what you're expecting. They might walk away and say, it's not for me, then it's not for them.
But I'm hearing this all the way through, and I wonder what's been said to them. So what's life been like for that up to that point? What have they been told? What have they been told about expectation? Why are they...
Well, I don't even know it's that. We know that there's so much information that they get and they see. What's really interesting, although it's not this. So I catch the train every day, and there's these 4 young girls from a really good school, and I love sitting next to them because they've got some stories. So anyway, one morning it was about, they obviously have a threshold for their attendance. So the conversation goes something like this. I only need to do another half day. I don't want to do... So they know how to game it all.
I've got this going on in my house at the moment.
Right.
What are you at 93%? Well, I need to get above 90. So I need to do one more day.
Yeah. And
I have this with my son.
I don't really like Tuesday because it's got maths. I might do that day. Then the next one was, there must be a benchmark for a pass rate.
Oh, yes.
So 2 of them had reached the pass rate and the 3 hadn't. So the 2 that had were giving them some advice how they would reach.
Oh, dear.
And so really different. We just thought you went to school because you went to school.
Well, I didn't know what attendance was. We just...
No.
Truancy wasn't even developed as a word, was it? You wagged.
Yeah.
But you didn't wag because you get in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, you did wag a bit.
But it is a little concern. When I was listening to them that morning, it was a little concerning because if you went into a job and there was this notion around gaming it.
So their whole life, but this is what they do now because all the data comes all online. You see, so and I get the same stuff as my son Buster does, and so he's at 93 or 88 or something. One of his mates is at 63 or 57. They're trying to get him over 60. So if you're going to sports day, you can still get attendance. You see, so you go on all your sports days,
Right.
and they know that I've got enough points now to pass NCA. I don't need to do the exam.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, and that worries me too because it's lowering our expectations.
It's
lowering our achievement.
Yeah. But if we go back to what we do in terms of that closing, whether it's a power gap, a participation gap, or gender pay gap, organisations need to, particularly boards, it needs to stay on their agenda.
Yes.
So data. It's always been king, but it's such an important part.
Data rules because data makes decisions. You see.
Data
can force decisions.
Yeah.
How's this government been to deal with? I know the minister around the women's issues seems pretty motivated.
Yeah, look, they, originally they were talking about mandatory reporting. This voluntary pay gap tool is a start.
You urge people to jump on their website?
For those that don't have a system, because there's resources there, and for some of the organisations a little bit smaller, it's just more work.
Yeah. Well, it's more bureaucracy and red tape and all that. Someone else has got to do it and find the time.
Yeah. So I think in terms of this voluntary tool, there's some help there that's easily accessible for them to have a look at how they might do that. Where the big end of towns, they have infrastructures.
Yeah, but all those 80% of New Zealand companies are mid-sized or small. They don't have that infrastructure. No. They're running out of the back of a van.
No. And so we do need to. So I think the one good thing about the voluntary piece is it allows them access to some tools. It allows them some time to think about. Because we would assume that at some point, for want of a better word, that there would be mandatory reporting.
Would you like to see mandatory reporting of not just salary comparison, but also of company makeup?
I think it would be, look, the one thing that I do think would be helpful for wahine in particular is that pay transparency.
Yeah.
I don't know if you just saw, but Australia's just come out with some research, and over there, women CEs get paid $170,000 less from a starting gate.
It's terrible.
So that's a power of data, though, eh? You kind of think, what's that about? Just because she's a woman, she's doing the same job as any other.
But that's the board setting that, isn't it? Does the board set the salary?
I would have thought so, but that's pretty breathtaking.
It's outrageously breathtaking because you can't escape data.
No.
And that's the greatest thing about data is that it exposes the problem, doesn't it?
Mm. And like I said, I think we still need to find other ways to support medium to small if we want everybody reporting.
So who's speaking to them? Because you guys got the big boys or girls, whatever, and you have to because that's where it all starts. But how do you infiltrate?
Well, I suppose there's a few of us that are doing some of this work, and we make all of our IP available to anybody.
Yeah, that's good.
I think the ministry in what they're doing should make that available to them. But I think at some point you need to kind of slice off who's next off the rank in terms of their size or their whatever, because I'm not sure if you had someone, to keep it anonymous, you'd need to have organisations that had at least 50 or 100 plus.
Yeah. There will still be boys' clubs everywhere.
Look, it may be, but what I see, the men that I work alongside, I think I don't see them as a boys' club. I really do believe, and look, people might say I'm naive, but I work with these people. They wake up and it's about this nation, and many of them talk about their daughters or their granddaughters
a pretty big picture
or
of
their
those.
nieces.
Yeah.
So I think
I've been impressed how I met a lot of your people. They're down to earth. They are.
Yeah.
They are just like us. Jodie from TVNZ. It really. I know they're going through hell at the moment there, but I've really been impressed with her. A really impressive leader. And really accessible.
Yeah, and that's what I see. If I hadn't have done this job, and I I do get quite defensive when people are critical of, Business New Zealand leaders, because the leaders I work with are not. They just care deeply
I've
about
been
this country.
pretty glowing in my praise of them. And the more I meet, the more I'm impressed. They got tough gigs.
They got tough gigs. I think
they got shareholders and boards.
Yeah, and they've got to live up to them. And one of the leaders, Antonia Watson, I remember when I first started in this role, and what their data looked like, and what she has managed to do in 4 years.
It's phenomenal.
Is impressive.
Because change takes so much time, because you're changing culture.
Yeah.
Bank culture.
Yeah.
Bank culture is sort of mahogany row.
Yeah.
And
she's done that and then some. And even her stuff in terms of, they've got a person leading their Te Ao Māori strategy.
Yeah.
But again, leaders like Antonia and others, they have all the information, they'll use that. But the thing that impresses me is every now and again they just need to take a leap of faith, and they will take that leap of faith.
They're doing it though, I think, already. Yeah, they are. The government's approach to Māori, is that a setback for what you're trying to achieve? I mean, the hikoi is massive, obviously. So there's some feeling there that the hikoi participants feel something's going on.
Look, right from the outset, when the government started on making the name changes or whatever, what I saw in our group is this is cyclic, and we'll just keep going. I mean, for many of them, they've got big partnerships with Māori. You think about the electric sector, they're on their whenua, PwC, the professional services, the banks. So
co-governance has been happening for a long time.
Yeah, of course it has.
It changed the name, but if that's for your political reasons, who cares?
Yeah,
it's so surface level, isn't it?
Yeah. I think I haven't noticed it in our group, but certainly I think maybe it's given permission to some organisations, not the champions, because we've been on this journey. We brought Pat Snedden in just after I started in terms of that conversation around a bicultural nation. I mean, the thing that really kind of seemed to trigger people is that social licence to operate in this country.
Yes.
And if anyone's listening and you need somebody to talk to, get that matua Pat.
Yeah.
He is impressive.
So Ian Taylor, again, is another one.
Yeah.
Ian, and he's kaupapa Māori. He finds it really offensive when someone steps on his toes like that and says, and just goes down the one lane, I reckon progress, it takes time. Like if you rush it, it might blow up at the top. And you're the perfect leader for this. I've always wanted to tell you this. You're the perfect. You're not like a compromise, but you're forceful and gentle at the same time. Because there's no point going there and bashing people with a mallet, because they will walk away. And you've seen that with some of the unions' approaches over the years. You whack someone with a mallet and it doesn't work.
Yeah. Look, talking about that, you have a look at the work that Roger Gray has done at the port in terms of and same approach, be fair but be firm, and know when to kind of step back and when to step forward. And I think, look, I've been down there, and what's gone on down there in terms of looking after the workers is seriously.
Has it helped in your role being a Māori woman? Or do you think it's challenged some of the CEs who may not have dealt with Māori women at all in their careers? I don't know. I might be guessing there, but
I don't know. I think it's been challenging because I don't have the same way of working. I don't raise my voice.
No, you don't.
I don't need to be the only voice. What I think it has brought to the table is, because of the diversity of who they are and I am, that we can find a middle ground and we can find different places to work from.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Like sometimes the quietest or softly spoken ones are the ones you listen to, because they might have something to say. And also I think that you will find a lot of common ground with these CEs with your approach.
Yeah.
So you have faith?
Oh, yeah, and then some.
So social licence stuff is important, because so many companies, they need to do this and want to do this because they want a long-term footholding in New Zealand. So you've got to have a holding in New Zealand. You've got to represent your country. And it's no longer a 1950s backroom deal where boys are doing all the work. And mums are not at home all day. It's just, that's not the way of our world anymore.
But I don't think they want that to be the way of the world. Because where would you get innovation? Where would you find sweet spots if that was the case,
Well, you wouldn't have it.
No. And that's why, I think about people like Joe Avenel, Russell McVeigh, right from the beginning in terms of Te Ao Māori and the treaty stuff. And it was a brave move for her as a nut to go, well, I'm happy to contribute to that, Agnes.
She's impressive.
I'll support that, And again, I see, you think about what happened to Russell McVeigh. So they are brave leaders. I have no doubt. They've
had a bit of attention.
They've had a bit of attention,
Yeah.
all of them. And so some of the conversations have been, this conversation about Te Ao Māori and Te Tiriti it's just, it's another place we need to navigate together.
And they're starting to get match hardened because if you've made mistakes, or someone's made a mistake in your organisation, you've got to front it.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is be honest.
Yeah.
And be upfront.
And come out.
Come out, because my take on this, after coming at it from my side, I see so many companies make mistakes, all the same ones, thinking they can half tell the story.
No.
As John Key used to say to me, you'll be waiting for me the next day around the next corner for the other half. And we will.
Yeah.
So, but I think New Zealand companies are getting their heads around that too.
I think so. You see the chief executive come out and own whatever that is.
Yeah.
I think about Mark Averill as the ex-chief executive of PwC when all of that stuff. Now, the thing, I don't know Mark well, but what I do know, that integrity was one of his key values.
Yeah.
And that's why that was hard. Not because he didn't think, but integrity.
Well, it's hard earned. And Jim Anderton, I'll make this my last thing because I'll carry on, and you probably want to get home at some stage tonight. But Jim Anderton, on his door of his office in the Beehive 20 odd years ago, it said integrity can take decades to get, and 1 second to lose.
Yep.
And so I see some people make mistakes in business, all for the sake of $5,000, or they pinch something or did something. I think, this is not worth it, mate.
It's not.
Your integrity is hard earned, and in a small country, sometimes your word is all you have. In fact, most of the time it is.
Yeah, and that's why, when we bring the chief executive together, there is something really inspirational about it, because they have such influence and have the potential to have such impact. Yeah,
they've got resource, they've got people, and they've got, this is where I thought, I'll make this my last point. During COVID, I was regretful that the government didn't go to the private sector for more help, because I see the private sector very much as a partnership with government. They saw themselves as the only track. There's so much information, knowledge and power in those places. Rob Fife and guys like that, who was in Wellington wanting to work for his nation, Anyway, Teresa, anyone,
Yeah. And I suppose just, my final thing is a bit like what
We've
Teresa...
said 3 final things.
Teresa, all right,
you go.
Teresa, is, it is. We've got a village of the willing, and you just keep growing that village of the willing.
Yeah, and ours is a big one in New Zealand, and sometimes underused, I reckon. Agnes, kia ora, thank you so much. Nice to see you. All the best. I appreciate our chat tonight.
You too, Duncan.
Okay, good.
All right.
See you up north.
Duncan Garner, live.
And you've said, Duncan, if anything, my mentors have more faith in me than I have in myself, says Moana. I've found good wahine role models and mentors have helped me in my career, willing to share their wisdom. That's the thing. Be a mentor for someone else. Be a mentor for someone else. And what a cool lady, says Moana. Yes, thank you for your feedback.
Duncan Garner, live.
Right, let's do 3 questions.
3 questions from the Editor-in-Chief. 1.
And number 1, New Zealand's got bird flu. So what does it mean? All poultry exports are now on hold until New Zealand is free from the bird flu, which was detected at a Moiraki egg farm. The Ministry for Primary Industries says laying hens foraging outside were thought to have been affected. So 40,000 chickens in the shed where the virus was identified will not make it to KFC. They're going to be eradicated very, very shortly.
2.
She heads up the country's drug buying agency, Pharmac, and I wonder if she's for the high jump. Sarah Fitt has been controversial as a leader, and now Minister David Seymour and Chair of Pharmac, Paula Bennett, have refused to express confidence in her today. In politics, translate that to she's about to be pushed, so she may well jump first, so watch this space.
3.
How many lighthouses does New Zealand have? This is the question. Which Agnes got to 35, which was bloody close. A regular follower of ours here, Gail, has sent me information on all of them. Last chance to guess. The North Island has 20. South Island's got 23. 43. 43 is the number, so Agnes, you're only 8 out. Not bad, though. Pretty good. Pretty good.
Duncan Garner, live.
Isaac, I want to bring you in here before I do my slam dunk.
Hello.
5 from 5.
5. Auckland FC, baby,
you're
so
pumped.
good.
I mean, you went there a few weeks ago for your first game, and
Yeah, I went
didn't know
for
what to
game 1.
expect.
I went to game 1 because it's not every day you get to support a sports team from day dot.
No, it's just the birth of it, mate. You've been there from the start.
Yeah, exactly. Because this is an opportunity you don't want to miss.
Okay, so it gets addictive, right?
Exactly, and so I went there. It was a great game. It was against the Brisbane Roar. We won 2-0, I believe. And I bought a shirt straight away because...
You bought your first shirt after 5 games?
No, after one game. On the first game.
Right,
yeah, because... you got to support it, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going guns in for this team, and it has paid off so far. 5 from 5, 0 goals conceded.
I know.
So good,
isn't it though? So this just helps. I mean, what a dream start. They could not have asked for a better start.
Yep.
And I wonder that pressure on themselves now not to be beaten, eh?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm pretty sure that them going 4 from 4 was the first time in A-League history. So now obviously 5 from 5 is also a first.
Yeah.
But yeah, continuing that, it's going to be very, very difficult, but I hope that they can.
And football can teach rugby a few things about being a crowd, you know. Like, rugby's so stiff, and I don't know when it comes to crowds, but there is a full crowd, and they're in full noise, hey?
Yeah, Go Media Stadium, they're playing this week against the Wellington Phoenix, the second game against Phoenix, at Go Media Stadium, Mount Smart. It's going to absolutely rip.
Yeah, you going to go?
It's already sold out. Yeah, I'm trying to get tickets through a mate.
You're trying to get tickets?
Yeah,
That's hard, isn't it?
Well, it's sold out super fast, which is great to see. Great for Auckland.
Yeah, you're a loyalist, though. I mean, you've been to the last 5 games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's going to be such a good game. Cannot wait to go.
You are pumped, eh?
It's going to be mean.
Good on you, mate. Good on you, mate. Well done.
It's the Slam Dunk.
Okay, let's go slam it. So the government got smacked in the nose today with some numbers that reflect poorly on their management of the economy, whether they like it or not. 8,000 more New Zealanders lost their jobs and moved on to the dole in just the last 3 months up until the end of September. That's a town the size of Matamata. So the equivalent of every person in Matamata who lives there, every person, they lost their job in the last 3 months. It's not insignificant. Now, Prime Minister Luxon is pointing the finger at everybody else. Wasn't it just the other day he was on the show with his little video saying how well everyone's doing? Anyway, PM Luxon's pointing the finger at everybody else, saying it's the lag effect. The lag effect from the previous government. It may be responsible for some of the slowing of the economy, but he wants to take responsibility for the good news. So, the other day when the Reserve Bank lowered interest rates, he was out there, this is us. But he will not take responsibility for the bad news. He should look in the mirror if he wants to find the person ultimately responsible. He's in charge of this government. Is he not? He stands as the leader of this government's economic plan, does he not? Which has failed to fire this year, and economic growth is flat. Power prices saw sawmills close in rural towns, and as a result, plus all the public servants that got the boot, 8,000 more Kiwis have signed up for the dole, or the job seeker benefit, they got a fancy name for it, in just 3 months. In the 3 months to the end of September. 8,000 more people lost their jobs. They needed to sign up to welfare to survive as the economy tanked even further. It weakened further under this government. Now, the irony in this is that National's aim is to have 50,000 people fewer on the dole by 2030. It's going the wrong way, mate. It's trending the wrong way. And will it even get worse? Yes, it will. It's been reported today that another 10,000 workers are expected to lose their jobs before unemployment peaks. So will peak at 5.2% next year. So another 10,000 jobs. They're in office now, and they can't blame others now for the next rise in unemployment. Can they? Luxon needs to man up and own the fact that he's overseeing this. Or resign. Say he's run out of ideas already. He doesn't wish to take responsibility for the slide. Now, many of those job losses are public servants. They lost their jobs as a direct result of this government. But part of National's plan to get people working is not investment or training or industry, but investment in chasing up the unemployed and putting the heat on them to get back to work. Sanctions, penalties. That's what they're going to do. They're going to look at a further 10,000 people will be case managed, and they will face tougher scrutiny about why they're out of work, and if they don't choose to work or don't choose to look for work, why they're not doing this. And will they move towns for a job? And if they won't do any of those things, then they face getting their benefit cut, penalised, chipped at, cut. The problem is all of a sudden the jobs aren't as plentiful as they once were. And National's big jobs target of having 50,000 people fewer on the dole within 5 years has taken a serious hit. And it's still trending in the wrong direction. The good thing you can say for National with that, at least, unlike Labour, at least it's tracking these numbers. So it's got some government targets. The last guys, wouldn't know policy, let alone target. Anyway, back to Luxon. So it's trending in the wrong direction. And it's the most crucial part of anyone's life, besides their kids and their house, I suppose, is their job, their means to an end. The bit that fulfills them and keeps them fed, with a roof over their head. Just days after Luxon was waxing lyrical about the economy bouncing back, I wonder if his economy is more like roadkill, dead flat and going nowhere fast. Looks like it, doesn't it?
Duncan Garner, live.
He's going to love me, isn't he? Eh?
Oh yeah, man. You've done well. You've done very
That's
well.
the truth.
I mean, you said it before, just before the show started, for someone to go online and peddle how well the economy's going, to then get these numbers given to them.
Shit, 8,000 fewer jobs. 8,000. That's 8,000 mums and dads or whatever it is.
Yep.
Out of work and on the job seeker. And they're about to get a call from the government to say, "Oi, pal, if you don't start brushing off that CV, you're going to lose your benefit as well."
Well, educate me, Duncan. When you're on the job seeker, don't you have to provide evidence that you are applying for jobs?
You've
right?
got to be seen to be applying for jobs.
What does that mean? What, like, do you know what it is?
Yeah, not much.
Yeah. So is it like
It's jack shit.
one application a week?
You got to be available
okay.
to take a call from someone, or to see if you're looking for jobs.
So it is pretty easy to be on the job seeker benefit.
Depends who your case manager is.
Yeah.
But
okay.
under Labour, they didn't really force the issue. But these Nats, this is the old Jenny Shipley days. They're going to really force it. They're going to case manage you.
Yeah.
They want something back in return. if they give you money, they want you to be responsible for that and show your responsibilities to the nation and get to work. Even though there's no jobs. There's I listened to a truck driver today, been out of work for 9 months. You're going to penalise him for being out of work for 9 months? He's looking for work.
Yeah.
Anyway, 8,000. There we go. There's your number. Oh, Luxon was very defensive about that. Anyway, I've yabbed on. This is us. That is us. This is you. This is us. This will be available as a podcast on Rover shortly, or wherever you get your podcast. Thank you for your feedback and support. I know Agnes is lovely, isn't she? He's just telling me this in the feedback. What a cool lady. He marae kura. Yeah. Thank you for your feedback and support. I'm Duncan at rover.nz to my team. It's just me and you, bud. Isn't it? Yes, us. Isaac, thank you, sir. And we'll do it again tomorrow. And remember, life is no dress rehearsal. There's no curtain raiser. Give it your best, because this is it. This is our one life. We live in one of the best places on earth. Get out, enjoy it. Have a great rest of the evening. Take care, folks.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Got something to say? Email Duncan at rover.nz. Call 0800 863 293.